Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In this post, I want to talk about yesterday's mainstream media hoax. The son of a Massachusetts policeman who was supposedly trying to join ISIS and had a terror plot that was thwarted by the FBI. In the post 9/11 era, the majority of the terror hoaxes have been just this: teenagers busted by the FBI before they could unleash their terror plot. So I want to decode this hoax, talk about what a hoax the FBI has always been. Before we do any of that, let's just watch the mainstream media news coverage on this hoaxalicious story. Here we go.
Boston police captain, a 23-year-old man from Adams, Massachusetts. Acquaintances tell investigators that he is someone who has been suffering from mental illness, that recently he had expressed interest in martyrdom, both online and in conversations, and he had expressed his desire, his interest in supporting ISIS with an attack. Authorities finally moved in after he received 4 firearms from somebody who was cooperating with the Western Massachusetts Joint Terrorism Task Force. After the arrest, they did a search. At that time, they found that he also had parts of Molotov cocktails in his apartments, and they say he had purchased a pressure cooker. Authorities say that the plan was to use these improvised explosive devices to launch an attack targeting perhaps college dormitories or cafeterias. Once he was taken into custody, Pamela, he also took a pen, we're told, and stabbed a nurse in the head, leaving a puncture wound behind. This might speak to the mental illness, of course, that sources close to the investigation are saying he suffered.
They wanted to get that word mental illness in there. But let's not forget this is a hoax. Massachusetts man accused of plot to bomb crowded places on behalf of ISIS. Massachusetts, Truth Seeker, is one of 3 states, there's only 3 with 33 name gematria. The first, Delaware, the 50th and final, Hawaii, and the 6th, Massachusetts. That's because the numerology of 33 is 3 plus 3 equals 6. This is the son of a police officer. Let us not forget that police has gematria of 33. Police departments are ran by Freemasons. Scottish Rite Freemasons have a highest degree of 33. His name is Alexander Ciccolo. Very interesting last name. Don't know if I've ever seen it before. But Alexander has the name gematria of 39, often coded. Ciccolo, 33. And in the story, his father's name is Robert. Probably most commonly the reported name for police officers. That's because Robert is a 33 name. And I think the other reason they like it is because it starts with letters that break down to 9 and 6. Remember, the word Freemason equals 96. He's converting to Islam. The story talks a lot about him wanting to be a Muslim. Muslim has the 33 gematria with the S exception. Very important number in spirituality. Don't forget, these Masons are spiritual. They worship Satan. That is their spirituality. I've noticed that all sorts of Satanist phone numbers throughout the nation, even in here in Washington State, the Satanist phone number for Washington State begins with the numbers 33. Really like that number, these Satanists. The name Alexander Ciccolo in simple English gematria sums to 144. And the name Robert Ciccolo in simple English gematria sums to 138. The name Ciccolo in Jewish gematria alone sums to 138. But that number 144 is one we've seen coded a lot this year too. And in fact, it was the Super Bowl this year that the Patriots won 28-24. At the conclusion of that game, I said watch for the numbers 52 and 144 this year. So him having this 144 name and also being connected to Massachusetts, it reminds me of that connection. In the story, he is busted on July 4th, this Alexander Ciccolo. He met with the federal agent, acquired weapons from them, illegal weapons that day. The federal agent's name is Carmen M. Ortiz. His name sums to 155, an important number in Christianity. This story brings up those Christianity versus Islam tensions. It happened on 7/4. In Christianity, the central figure is Jesus. Jesus crucified on the cross at 33. And with regards to this 33 and 74, they code them into hoaxes all the time. The last time we saw a teenager with terror in Boston, it was Dozakar Sarnov, who's born July 22nd, 722, the number having to do with pi, in the year 93. But also, Truth Seeker, this date yields a numerology of 33. Also, his name sums to 74, that pairing that we find in almost all the hoaxes. 33, 74, here it is here. Mr. 33 himself busted on the 4th of July. Also, this number 155 has to do with mental illness, which is the word they're repeating maybe more than any other in this story. Mental illness, mental illness, mental illness. And you know, True Seeker, I really hate the phrase mental illness because it's so vague, and I wish we just spoke about these things as if they were symptoms of living in a sick world. One of my favorite quotes is that it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profanely sick society. I don't think that's exactly how the quote's worded, but it's pretty much the same message. And just think about that. Think about how many people you know that are so well adjusted to living in this world, just so content with it, don't want to think about anything. These people are truly the mentally ill ones. You have to be mentally ill to just want to go along with this world and participate in it and not think about it. To me, that's the real mental illness. It's all these people who act and behave this way, which are the majority, that sustain the sickness that's going on. His code name, Ali Al-Amriki, has gematria of 51 Pythagorean, and I meant to write it up here with simple English. It also sums to 96. 51, a number of conspiracy. 96, what Freemason sums to in simple English gematria. Ali Al-Amriki. Supposedly this is his ISIS name that he's going by. But again, ISIS is a joke. If there's any ISIS out there, all it is paid for mercenary forces, controlled opposition, so that they can use it for their excuse to start the wars and everything else they want out of it. There is no ISIS. All part of the hoax upon us. Paid for mercenaries by Western governments at best. They say this man's from Adams, Massachusetts. Adams, Massachusetts. Located on the 42nd parallel, 73rd meridian. The thing about Adams is it has gematria Pythagorean of 11, S exception 20, but Adams, Massachusetts in Pythagorean gematria sums to 44. And of course, the FBI thwarted a plot of killing, right? Supposedly. Also, True Seeker, somebody just tipped me off to something. I decoded 206 in a recent story, and I thought maybe it was hinting at something going down in Seattle. But a brand new truth seeker, perhaps somebody out there watching who wanted to drop a clue, said I should look up Royal Arch Masonry. And check this out, truth seeker. Royal Arch Masonry, also known as Capitular Masonry, is the first part of the York Rite system of Masonic degrees. Royal Arch Masons meet at a chapter, and the Royal Arch chapter confers 4 degrees: Mark Master Mason, Past Master, Most Excellent Master, and Royal Arch Mason. Notice that Royal Arch Masonry is also known as Capitular Masonry. Notice that Royal Arch Masonry has simple English gematria of 206, and its alias, Capitular Masonry, also sums to 206. So, this person who gave me this clue about when they code 206, I think this is yet another direct connection to Scottish Rite Freemasonry, where we started about highest degree of 33. Scottish equals 113, another number often coded into the hoaxes. With regards to the Boston Marathon bombing, it happened at 2:49 p.m. or 11 till 3. Over and over. But yeah, there's more coding than that here, True Seeker. I don't want to bury you with too many numbers, but if you want to come check out this post, we can start to see where a lot of this coding goes to. Think about tax day being the 105th day of the year we all bend over for the Zionists that run this nation who steal our wealth. Think about how many of us just gladly work and slave all year and just give away our tax money. 3 to 4 months of it to this corrupt government so that they can bombard us with propaganda and wars of every kind, from wars on brown people to wars on drugs to wars on everything else. We're fools. We have to rebel. We have to stop bowing down. We have to stop giving them our money. I mean, how long can we just all behave like a bunch of cowards for in the face of tyranny? Apparently a long time. I mean, it's been going on the whole time this nation's existed. But yeah, come check out this post. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. What I want to talk about, though, moving on, is the FBI. The FBI, its connections to Masonry, Skull and Bones. The FBI was originally called the Bureau of Investigation. They were the first national police force. They were established on July 26th. New York was established July 26, 1888, 20 years earlier. This is a number connected to Revelations, which names the synagogue of Satan, the false Jews who will rule in the end times. And I have no doubt that the synagogue of Satan, these false Jews, arrogantly coded these numbers onto the Bureau of Investigation and have also arrogantly ran the FBI the whole time. J. Edgar Hoover was in charge of this whole thing until he died, showing you what a giant hoax it was. One man having tyranny over the nation's police force. But anyway, the date it was established, what else, Truth Seeker? July 26, 1908 has numerology of 33. This method, it sums to 60. The word conspiracy has gematria of 51, 60, and 123. This method, that 51 again. And with the reduced method, 41, like words such as USA equal 41. Lock and key both sum to 41. Home equals 41. Another important number. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is the same thing. It was just renamed with the federal word on the front. That happened on 3/22, March 22nd. Or, flip it backwards, day 1st, 223. The Synagogue of Satan equals 223. See how they do this over and over, Truth Seeker? That phrase comes from Revelation. Revelation has a connection to the number 726. All very well thought out. In both dates, we find connections to the number 60. The word police in simple English gematria sums to 60. Police is 33 Pythagorean, 60 simple English. This was the nation's police force. So we find 60 coded into both dates. Federal, of course, is also one of these 33 words. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Nets gematria of 133, or with the S exception, 142, both very special numbers. Federal and Jewish gematria sums to 121. Remember, the numbers of Revelation are 49, 67, 121, 726, and 1010. The last one's Jewish gematria. This one's English gematria, 726. Simple English gematria, Pythagorean, and V exception. Revelation right here, Truth Seeker. Anyone who's new here, I'll show you this. New York's establishment date, July 26, 88. Has numerology of 121. Also the connection to 726. And also it's the 11th state, New York. If you sum 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 all the way up to 11, add them all up, it equals 66. And Revelation is the 66th book of the Bible. And it's New York that has the most revelation coding out of all the states. But these FBI agents, Truth Seeker, they're the real terrorists. They're behind the hoaxes. They're the ones helping keep us in fear. They're a major propaganda arm of these Masons, of our governments. In all the hoaxes, the FBI is intertwined. In the recent San Francisco shooting on Pier 4, which I decoded and showed what a giant hoax it was, the shooter's name summed to 113, they came out and they said a federal agent had left his gun in a wet t-shirt, and that's how this man found it and killed somebody randomly. I mean, just what a stupid story. But that's what they feed the brain-dead masses, and somehow they swallow it up. But there was a federal agent there. Recently in the church burnings, it was the FBI investigating the church burnings. I talked about how those church burnings were happening in towns of populations of 300, 1,000 people, very small towns. And the ultimate kicker was when I read the article talking about the FBI spokesman who's doing the investigation, Paul Bresson. And what's comical about Paul Bresson, Truth Seeker, is he has name gematria of 43 and 61. And if you haven't seen my church shooting video, it was the numbers 43 and 61 coded all over it. The word church has simple English gematria of 61. This Paul Bresson is investigating church shootings. And in regards to the Charleston church shooting, which sparked this all off, Charleston equals 43, Civil War equals 43. The senator who was killed, his name gematria Pinckney equals 43. This name Pinckney comes from the Revolutionary War. All the original political players of South Carolina had this name Pinckney. The governor, the state representatives, the state court. Everyone was Pinckney. These are old slaveholders from the Revolutionary War. And now we find this Zionist agent, a black sellout, Clementa Pinckney, a total fake. Remember how Obama kept referring to him as Clem at the funeral, a 33 word. Just showing their Masonic Zionist connections. But anyway, everything about that church shooting was coded 43. That Pinckney even died 43 days before his 42nd birthday. It's just a sick joke, Truth Seeker. And then the FBI agent, if he's even a real person investigating it, has the numbers being coded over all the incidents. So, it's just too much, Truth Seeker. The Tamir Rice shooting, another complete hoax. The name Tamir Rice equals 96, just like, what's this guy's name? Go back and look at it. What did they say his name was? Ali Amriki in simple English gematria, even though I forgot to write it up here, sums to 96. Tamir Rice, 96. In this story, they say that during the time of the shooting, an FBI agent happened to be in the area following up on a bank robbery. Heard about the incident and arrived about 3 minutes after the shooting. Oh man, Truth Seeker, it's just pathetic, this news. Just pathetic. It's all pathetic. Boston Marathon bombing, gray poofs of smoke that go straight up in the air, don't even pop balloons that are in close proximity, don't do anything to anything, yet we have people go before us on the news saying they got their legs blown off. Explosions that went upward somehow didn't hurt anything up above, they only hurt people's legs at a running marathon. It's just such a joke, Truth Seeker. All these stories are a joke. Alright, so just to close, I wanted to put up that agent name that he has for ISIS, Ali al-Amriki, with the gematria of 96, just like the word Freemason, just like the religion Satanism. Freemasons like to pride themselves on being the keepers of knowledge. Remember, those ranging degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry are 31, 32, 33. Add them together, sums to 96. In Jewish gematria, the word free also sums to 96. Just like how they coded it into Freemason in simple English gematria. So that's pretty much the message, Truth Seeker. Don't forget, these police officers, they are controlled by the Freemasons, whether they realize it or not. That's why all these stories are coded with the same numbers. It's why I've been doing videos and written blog posts for years now, documenting how in every incident these same numbers come up almost every time. Alexander Ciccolo, who also goes by Ali al-Amriki. Alright, Truth Seeker, until next time. Encore, Truth Seeker. I want to make one last point about the FBI. Notice that in simple English gematria and Jewish gematria it sums to 17. That's just like the word Mason with Pythagorean gematria. It's also like the word God with Pythagorean gematria. And the Masons consider themselves gods, the elite ones. Also, FBI in English gematria sums to 102. And this is a number that I finally put 2 and 2 together with recently. There's this documentary from the History Channel about September 11th called 102 Minutes That Changed America. The length of time that the nation was in terror while buildings were on fire and collapsing. Well, I just want to point something out, Truth Seeker. United States of America with Pythagorean gematria sums to 84, but with the S exceptions, it sums to 102. And long before I knew numerology or gematria, I always described this country as just being one giant fuck you. And lo and behold, the gematria of fuck you is 102. I really think that the name of this country, I think the people who made the name of this country factored in the phrase fuck you. English came into being just before the United States. I think this is all part of the sick agenda. Because if you look at the history of this nation, its citizens have always been fucked over. Fighting in wars they don't need to fight in. Taxation without representation. Being lied to. Being lied to. I mean, what could be a bigger fuck you than living in the United States and then coming to understand the truth about it? You know what I mean? And then we live in a nation where the FBI is thwarting their own terror plots, using their own agents, even the sons of police officers. Also, Truth Seeker, just for this coding, 102 minutes that changed America. Look at the gematria of minutes that changed America. 116, like 911 upside down, when this is what this is about. This is the nation we live in. They even make the movie 102 minutes long. FBI 102. Hey FBI, fuck you. But hey, Truth Seekers, I love all you guys. Until next time.